Welcome to my channel for a Scentsy brick chop and chat. I'm Stacy. I am a wax lover and I also am an independent Scentsy consultant. Um, Today I've got my paper towels at the ready, my chopper, and three Scentsy bricks that I am going to be chopping. The first brick that I have is the Scentsy Is You brick. This is originally from the 2022 family reunion. I just got it in March as a part of it's a club exclusive. So if you have a Scentsy club, you can get the Scentsy As You brick. Currently, I think it's still available as a Scentsy club exclusive. As you can see, glitter is not just for vendor wax. This is a very unique Scentsy bar in that it does have that iridescent glitter. It is pretty easy to get out of your warmers. I do find that I need to take a second wipe to make sure that I get all of the glitter out. When I chop my Scentsy bricks, I do tump them out, just putting them face down on the board. And then I come through that horizontal way like this, and I divide the three columns there. Well, four. It's four columns. Then I just kind of return those back and focus on two or three of the rows at a time. I am going to cut the stars differently. There are 4 stars in each Scentsy brick. And for these, I'm going to do it a little differently than Patricia Gates. I just cut the stars in half. But all of the other shapes that are in the Scentsy brick, I will cut into thirds. Cutting them into thirds is the way that, if you watch Patricia Gates' channel, then you know she has some great tutorials on how to slice them into thirds. And I do deeply agree with her that slicing them into thirds does give you just a greater level of control of how much wax you're putting in each warmer. The ounces on these vary based on the section that you pull, and she has a great video that kind of measures that out, so I highly recommend you take a look at her channel. But for each of these, I'm going to just be dividing it into thirds and then kind of easily popping them back in. I do have to pace myself and make sure that I do one section at a time, just so that I don't get confused, because that happens easily. So just gonna keep cutting these. This is a beautiful scent, and I do love the glitter, even though it takes a little more to clean it out. Yay! And so we are about halfway there. As you can see, I have the first half chopped, and now I'm just going to pull out these bottom 2 rows and do the exact same thing to them that I did to the top 2 rows, remembering that the stars I'm going to cut in half and all the others I'm going to cut in thirds. Sometimes I will only chop half of a brick. I did that with the Dumbo brick that came out in the winter months, because I knew it was mostly going to be an spring-summer warm for me, even though I'm a mood melter, and I did just kind of want to stretch it out into the spring and summer season. I did end up loving that brick so much, though, that I also got another one before it left, and I added that Dumbo brick to my club. This brick in particular, though, the Scentsy Is You brick, is a very delicious fruity floral scent. I was a little bit intimidated to try it because I'm not always a floral lover, but this has bright apricot, melon, and wildflowers in it, and it's such a good performer for me, and it's crowd pleasing. It's room filling, cheerful, and bright without being overly heavy or overly sweet. I do find that I get great performance out of this too. So I get, per warming session, I tend to get about 30 hours. So that's 2 days for me, using my 15 hours open concept warm. Yay! There we go. My first brick is cut and ready to go. Just gonna make sure I've sealed all the edges. I really do find that I benefit from not chopping as I go with bricks, but doing this where I decide how much I think I want to get through and having that chopped up and ready. It just helps keep me moving through my wax, and it makes it easy so that I'm not adding extra steps. If I think I want to melt it, it's available and ready for me. I'm so excited about this next brick. It was just in clearance. It's Sweet Orange Pomander. This is a Scentsy brick. If you watch Elizabeth Scenes and Scents, she loves this one. I've already gotten through one row of this. As you can see, I left the bottom 3 rows because I wanted to get a sense when it was first in clearance of how how deep in the aged process this brick was, because this was a clearance brick. It was not something that was newly released. And anytime I get something out of clearance, I assume that it might be an older pour. So I went ahead as soon as I got the brick and I chopped one row, and it was delicious, performing very well. As you can see, the wax is in really good condition. I wouldn't expect anything less. Those are those stars again. I'm gonna remember cut those in half as opposed to cutting them in thirds. This is, I guess, for some a controversial bar because it is a spicy bar. I do love spice. I feel like most scents, I have something in that scent family that I really enjoy. But for me, I always love a spice bar. There's no time of year when I don't want to melt it, and there are times of year when it's a lot harder, particularly in Scentsy land, to get a spice bar. So I was really excited to see this one pop up. And this bar is warm and beautiful. It is made up of clove and cinnamon and sweet orange, and you do get all of those notes. And I think they are just beautifully balanced. For me, I also enjoy using this particular scent as a blender. Oops. This is part of the reason why I try not to cut all the pieces at once. I do drop pieces often, but the good news is, just like putting a puzzle piece back together, just stack them together and then put them back in. But again, to get back to the scent notes, this is a retired scent, but the clove, cinnamon, and sweet orange are just beautifully balanced to me. It's room filling, and it can be really nice to enhance the spice of any bakery that you might have that you might be missing a bit of warmth. You want to add some warmth too. These 2 cubes perfectly describe this brick: cinnamon and citrus. So I'm just going to finish chopping these up. This bar also does great direct mixing with some vanilla scents. It can overpower a vanilla scent. It just depends on which one you're mixing it with. So I would definitely tread cautiously when you're direct mixing with it with something that's maybe lighter. But you can also do alternating warmers, which is lovely as well. And here we go. Last piece. I'm just going to make sure to seal this up, make sure the edges are popped closed all the way around. And yay, ready with Sweet Orange Pomander. I'm going to clean off my board a bit. The next brick I'm chopping also has a spice note in it. It's a staple, and it's currently available in the catalog as a bar and in Scentsy Club as a brick. And you probably know it. It's baked apple pie. This is a constant staple in our home. We just love it. It's such a good scent. It is more of a pie filling scent. It doesn't have as much of the crust note. Ooh, y'all, I'm going to send things flying. I do sometimes have dexterity challenges that can make it a little bit harder for me to open things. If you look, this wax is cracked in a couple of places, and you'll see that when I flip it out. For me, the wax, though, it smells great. Its consistency looks good. Sometimes cracks happen, and I'm going to chop it anyway, so it's like they took a cut for me, so I'm not typically upset about that. I will say, though, if you do get like bricks or bars that are damaged or you're not satisfied with the way that they look, I have found it pretty straightforward and easy to contact Scentsy and get a replacement if you feel like you need it. As a consultant, I've been so happy. I just became a consultant like in the summer of 2023 after having been a customer since 2008. And I've found when contacting Scentsy to make things right. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, they're typically very good and very responsive at making sure that everybody's happy with what they have. So I love that. Baked apple pie is a year-round scent. So this is one of those fragrances that I love all year round. So it lists as flaky pie crust and apples and spices. I do think that I do, when I warm it, get the flaky pie crust, but I think that's the least of the three items that I get. It's a beautiful blend and I love it, but the predominant note for me is the apples. Probably the secondary note is the spice. It's a really subtle spice blend to me. But again, remember, I love spice. And then the pie crust does come through, but it's very light to my nose. I do oftentimes like to combine this or use alternating warmers with baked apple pie. I love mixing it with a great many scents that are bakery, so I can add just a bit more of that pie crust filling, if or not pie crust filling, the pie crust, if I feel like I need it. And I find accomplishing that is easiest when I do alternating warmers. So now I'm just going to pop these out and just get to work on finishing cutting this bottom half. We do go through a lot of baked apple pie in our house, so it's on a steady rotation. I tend not to get it in the bars because I know at my Scentsy Club I can get it in a brick, and I get great performance out of these bricks. I do find it's consistent with the warming times that I get out of the bars. One of the things that I have heard and I have experienced on some fragrances is that the scent is always the same. I've never experienced where the scent is not the same, but I have heard some folks not get the same longevity out of bricks versus bars, and it goes both ways. Sometimes the brick is longer lasting, and sometimes the bar is longer lasting. For this particular scent, I find it to be pretty consistent. I get about 3 days. One of the unique features of the bricks is that they are hand poured. And when I say 3 days, do remember that that means about 45 hours for me, because I only keep my warmers on for 15 hours at a time, and I don't leave them on overnight. And there we go. That's my third brick, all chopped up and ready to go. I do think chopping your bricks, whether you chop 1 row, 2 rows, or 3 rows when you first get them, is really helpful. The one big downfall from my view with bricks is if you don't use them. So making sure that it's easy to access them and that they're ready to pop in your warmers whenever you feel like using them is super beneficial. So thanks so much for joining me. To the melting basket they go. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you melted any of these bricks? And do you melt bricks at all? Or are you just a bar exclusive kind of melter? Don't forget to leave me a comment and subscribe if you would. Thanks again.